I've got to go through it. Location plan of the exits and the assembly points situated on the doors of this room. Please familiarise yourselves with them, but not now. On discovering a fire, please carry out the following: sound the alarm, attack the fire if possible, and safe to do so using the appliance provided. On hearing the evacuate signal, please carry out the following: exit the building by your nearest safest exit. All visitors report to assembly point G in the car park over there, on Wall Parkway car park, and do not leave the assembly point for any reason until told to do so by the incident control officer or Mr. Maxey, basically. Apologies for absence, members away on official council business. There are several apologies, I believe.
We have apologies from councillors Bates, Jens, Riley and Simpson.
Anyone else?
And apologies from Councillor Gosling, Councillor Taylor and Councillor Barrow.
Thank you. Are there any declarations of personal or prejudicial interest? Slight variations in the agenda here. First of all, I want to make a couple of very quick mayoral announcements. Firstly, to apologise for appearing in the day chain or half the day chain because I can't find the ribbon for it. The main chain is being repaired, and while it's being repaired, we're going to create a collar for it because it keeps getting jangled around. And some of these little pins that hold it together are very small and far, and one of those is broken. I think so. It's, we're going to lash out a few £100 on getting a collar made for it, so it'll actually hang nicely. Won't benefit me much because I've only got a couple more meetings, but it'll benefit future mayors. And the second point is, please, a date for your diaries if you're interested. Friday the 21st of March, I shall be holding, hopefully, a dinner dance in the Grimscote Manor in Coleshill. Their tickets will be available for you all to purchase if you so wish, but more details of that later. So that's potentially a dinner dance on Friday the 21st with a well-known DJ presenter officiating. The intention is it should be a fun night.
You needed an incentive to come along. Now you haven't.
Okay. Now I think to.
If you would indulge me on announcements,
please.
I'm an announcement because it's not very often we get letters or a card of thank you. So I'd just like to read this out. Dear Councillor Wright, thank you so much for the £100 heating allowance. It's very much appreciated in my household, as I find this time of year very difficult. Such a lovely surprise, and that's from Carol Jones in Hurley. Just thought that. So it's so rare we get less thanks. I thought I'd share that with the council.
Now I'm told I have to vary the suspend standing orders tonight to allow Mr. Harris to address the council in terms of agenda item for the electoral review. Are we happy that we do that? We suspend standing orders to do that. Okay. I'm taking power as being universal assent, because if we don't, there's no agenda item 4. So that done, we move on to.
No, sorry. Do you want to? We know item 4. So.
I was about to.
Sorry, forgive me. I thought you were moving on. Sorry.
Mr. Martin Harris from Nuneaton, who acts as our electoral officer as well, who is going to do a presentation, or are you just?
With your permission, I'll just talk to the report, Mayor, if that's okay.
Yeah, please do. Anyway, the floor's yours.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and yeah, thank you. I appreciate this is not the norm, either remotely or officers addressing council. I've just finished a meeting of the Nuneaton's cabinet and I couldn't get between the two venues quickly enough, so thank you. I wanted to bring out a few points of clarification on the report that's before you, if I can, and then I'm here for questions. As I'm aware, this is an area of keen interest for members, the wards you will represent. So first thing, and apologies for those who have heard this 100 times now, in terms of background, the report in front of you asks for approval for a pattern of wards in response to the Boundary Commission's consultation. You'll be aware they were minded to only give us the 35 members we currently have, even though we asked for an increase in the council size. They said we're minded only to stay with the 35 you currently have. But now propose a pattern of wards you think make convenient and effective local government. So that's one of the criteria we need to go for. Electoral equality is another, and also making sure we have communities of interest to actually make sense on the ground. So the proposed pattern of wards I have put in front of you, it meets those three criteria. The wards are the right size, they make sense on the ground, and it's effective and convenient for you as local councillors to represent those communities. That's the plan and the brief. I held some meetings with members, consultation exercises, kind of roundtable discussions to try and get a steer from you all as to what you would like in a new pattern of wards. An overwhelming sense that actually the status quo in nearly every instance is fine as it is, and ideally we wouldn't be changing ward boundaries. And that's what I've aimed for with this pattern of wards. There's a couple of things I've had to do, if that makes sense, in order to achieve that. The first is you'll notice that I think 15 out of the 17 wards have the same ward boundary as they do now. I've been able to achieve that in a couple of ways. The first way is by proposing that Baddesley and Grendon and Newton Regis and Wharton are represented by 3 councillors in future rather than 2. The second way I've done that is by making some small changes to the difference between Coleshill North and Coleshill South, recognising that Coleshill as a town should be represented by 2 wards, in its entirety. Some tweaks between the north and south have been necessary, which I've proposed at Appendix B. I've suggested that Dordon should remain, although it is technically too small at present, according to the Boundary Commission's forecasts, that Dordon should remain as it is, given that I think we're all aware of the impact of the site H4 in the borough plan could have on Dordon in the future, which the Boundary Commission haven't included in their electorate forecasts. So Dordon technically in our plan is too small, but we know it won't be for very long. So there's a kind of hedging our bets there and proposing a ward that is a little bit too small on paper, knowing it won't be. And then the last thing, based on feedback from members, is that Atherstone South should be renamed to deal with the 3 communities it actually represents. So Atherstone South, Manchester, and also including Ridge Lane residents in there as well, because often are forgotten and are slightly remote. So that's the 4 key features here. Now, I'm aware that, of course, members may have views that are different to this. My job was to propose a kind of technical response to the consultation in terms of here is a pattern of wards that works. And of course, there's nothing stopping members putting in their own submissions around changes they may wish in their own backyard, so to speak. So, for example, if you don't agree with my suggested change for Atherstone South, absolutely, that's fine. You can propose something different directly to the Commission. And if there's a view in the room, I have asked for delegated authority, or Chief Executive to have delegated authority to make some consequential amendments here. So, for example, as I say, I've proposed a change to Coleshill North and South. If Council doesn't support that, but something very similar or some tweaks would make it acceptable, then I'm seeking delegated authority to go through and make those small changes so that we can propose a pattern of wards after all. And I think that's the key features, if that's right, Mr. Mayor, and I'm obviously here for questions if members have any.
Are there any questions, Mr. Harris? Councillor Wright.
No, thank you, Mr. Mayor. And the first thing I want to do is thank Martin for the tremendous amount of work that he's put in to produce this report. I'd like to propose the recommendations for the following reasons. A, because as Martin said, not only is it work, he's consulted with the members, and we had sort of unanimous or cross-party support again, did we not, on the increase to the number of councillors by 2, and Martin has come up with this proposal and achieved just that with the justification in the report. So I think it is a fantastic piece of work. I can't see anybody having a major problem with it, but I will refer you to the briefing that we had a few moments ago. This all could be null and void given that are on foot. So you know, the bottom line is, I think this is great. I think this is good for North Warwickshire Borough. It achieves what we set out when the Boundary Commission first came in. It fulfills the criteria clearly, and it's good for North Warwickshire, with the caveat that we may well not exist for in the foreseeable. But I'll move the recommendation.
Okay, yes.
Thank you. Thank you, Martin, for adding Ridge Lane on, which I picked up quite a few meetings ago, because Ridge Lane's name does tend to get missed off a lot of the meetings. So I can just check that 3,050 is the 3 wards, though.
I don't think you know, yeah, you need. Press the button, can hear you.
Sorry, can I just check that the 3,050 is the 3 wards, Addiston South, Manchester and Ridge Lane?
You getting that, Martin?
I did, yeah, sorry. Yeah, that's correct. Yeah, so the 3 total electorate, yes, that's 3,050. That is including Ridge Lane. Yeah, that's all.
Thank you, Martin.
Any other questions? Peter?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you, Martin, for the work that you've done on this. As one of the members for Coleshill North, I kind of welcome the proposal, the Bramble Close, etc., because those were originally in my ward from boundary changes a good decade or so. So I think that's quite welcome. The only thing that I think I had a bit of head scratching, and I think it may be because of the numbers game, is that the side that of Blythe Road that abuts those particular roads remaining with the south. I just wondered if you could explain the reason, although I think it's probably down to the numbers game. Thank you, Martin.
Thank you, Councillor. If I may, Mr. Mayor. Yeah, so originally I had intended to include half of, like, it's the odd numbers on Blythe Road in the move. Looking at the Commission's guidance, they tend to not want to put boundaries down the centre of roads anymore, but behind the houses. And I suppose from a clarity point of view, in terms of residents on Blythe Road, all of the residents on that section of Blythe Road will be in the same ward, not one side being in, one side being out. So they generally like us to do that rather than the centre of roads. But if there's a strong view, like the kind of amendment, I'm happy to take. As I say, if you yourself and Coleshill South councillors have a strong view, then it's kind of in your gift. Happy to change things.
So if I can just add to that, it, from a practical point of view on elections, it's easier to say Blythe Road residents go to this particular polling station rather than having to get half of them to go to the wrong one and then having to direct them to the other side of town and that sort of thing. So that's as well as the reasons Martin suggests, that is a practical reason to sort of say certain primary.
Sorry, if I may say, Mr. Mayor, I can understand that now, because the same as it is now with the High Street North and South, so those, bring those back together again. So Martin, I can understand that now, and that does make sense. Thank you.
So Councillor Wright's proposed it, and part of that proposal, it gives the leaders and the group leaders delegated authority to sort of tinker with any minor things that come along with this. There's a seconder for that. Peter seconded that. Any other proposals? Are we happy to go for the vote on this? All those in favour, please show. Oh, were you going to do something different?
Yeah, I was just going to speak. I was just hoping to speak, if that was okay.
Oh, sorry, yes, I was waiting. I didn't see any hands, that's why I went to that. Please go ahead.
Yes, just to say thank you to Martin for the work that you've done, and it was great to have a chat with you over this. We're not going to support the submission tonight. We are really disappointed that we weren't consulted on the draft that's in front of us, and I think that was a missed opportunity to strengthen the submission. I do understand that there was a Christmas break, but that really should have been sort of factored into the timetable. We are going to put our own submission in, you know, so I'm not going to take up your time. Just in terms of the request for 37 councillors, we're not, you know, necessarily against that. We're just not convinced that the argument is strong enough to overturn the Commission's feelings that it should remain at a status quo. So, you know, we're not going to support the submission tonight, but I'll leave it there.
Okay. So,
Just on a point of clarification, I hope you don't think that we've been consulted as the administration any more than you, because we haven't. You know, we've been to many briefings. You know, Martin has put those briefings out to all councillors, and it was up to you know, individual councillors to attend or not. There have been no consultations, briefings with just the Conservative group on its own. So, you know, we haven't been consulted any more than you have. Just to make that point.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that.
Serena.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just a question to Martin, just a quick one. You know, I'm grateful that we, obviously, Dordon has obviously got a -13, but we're grateful that it remains that it's got 2 representatives. But we were here when obviously the commissioner came in and said definitely 35, and it was a very much a shock to everybody, I think, because the council had proposed that increase in councillors. What happens if this proposal goes forward and they stick their heels in and say definitely 35, that is not moving?
If I may, Mr. Mayor. Yes, and you were right, though, it was quite a lot of consternation when they broke the news. So I have informally consulted with officers at the Commission to see what their view would be, because I think their guidance suggests that where additional members in the right place kind of unlock a pattern of wards that works. So if I can take Newton Regis and Wharton as a very clear example, where actually you could break the ward up in lots of different ways, and take Wharton out entirely, put Alverca in with parts of Polesworth that don't work. Actually, by just adding an additional councillor in terms of the numbers suddenly work, they are minded to agree. And in the absence of any other strong submissions to the contrary, there's a strong chance that they will be agreeable to this. Obviously, they're the ones that make the decision. So I'm not going to say I'm quietly confident, because they have knocked us back a few times already. But I'm confident that, at least in my view, this is the right pattern. And what I have said is, following council approval tonight, if it's given, I will get the submission to them as soon as possible. We have a few weeks left on the consultation, and so they can come back if they require further evidence to justify X or Y thing. Then we can go back and give them a bit more information. So I don't want to say how confident I quite am, councillor, but I wouldn't be proposing it if I didn't think it was the right solution. If that helps.
Councillor.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you, Martin. It was just, I mean, it would have been logical for us to look at where the planned housing is going to go, and then, you know, as per. But we'd actually put that to them, and they poo-pooed the idea, basically, even though Dordon's and Polesworth are going to get this 2,000 houses. So I don't know how strong that argument will be, as we've already put it to them already. So thank you for your confidence, but perhaps I'm a little bit more sceptical.
Anybody else have any more questions or comments? Because we've got a proposal here that's been proposed and seconded. I understand what the Labour group may or may not do on this. Can I ask for all those in favour, please show. Yeah. All those against?
That's carried.
That's carried. Okay. The only other thing on the agenda is number 5, a verbal update from the council on the devolution white paper. I gather he's got a proposal to make. We're not going to go through a repeat of everything everybody said in the previous hour, no matter how wonderful it was. David.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yeah, that being said, Mr. Mayor, I mean, I think it was a very useful briefing, and you know, as we said in that briefing, it was it made well, it gave us a good opportunity to perhaps be a little bit more candid than we would have been otherwise. But my proposal is to form a working party. You know, all inclusive, I think. So probably it's going to be, to get the figures, 5311. So I'm going to say, obviously 5 from Conservatives, 3 from Labour, 1 from Dordon Independents, and I'm offering an olive branch to Councillor Stewart to involve him in the spirit of harmony and all the rest. So that's what I'm proposing, that we have a working group, which, as I said prior in the briefing, that working group I would envisage having to meet quite soon and then quite regularly, certainly for the foreseeable. So I'm proposing
Is
that.
that proposal seconded?
I'll second it.
Seconded. Do you want to speak on that or?
No, just to say that it's important that we work together on this to make sure that whatever happens is the best.
Anybody else want to comment on that proposition?
Mr Mayor, just for clarity, so that would be chaired by the leader of council, but with other nominations to come from various groups. Thank you.
You all happy with that? You're not happy, you don't want to be on it?
No, just back to record, my thanks for the cross-party consensus and the engagement.
Okay. Right, all those in favour, please show.
That's unanimous, Mr Mayor.
That appears to be unanimous. Right. I think that's it.
Well, sorry, there's item 6. Everybody's favourite.
Oh, yes. Can I move agenda item 6? Is there a second for that?
Second.
Thank you, Katie. All those in favour, please show. And appears to be unanimous as well. Thank you very much. I hope to be properly attired next time.